Glasses unfogged?
With her friends tonight?
So, start to sit, however's comfortable. You know you're welcome to stretch your legs out, sit up on blankets, sit in a chair if you're at home and that feels more comfortable. You actually have about a minute or so before 10:30, so just ease your way in. Close your eyes gently. And then just enjoy, just feeling the breath easily coming in and going out. Accepting those breaths in and out through your nose. And feeling the breath coming into your belly, feeling the belly expand a little bit as you breathe in. And then letting your hands come on out beside you. Let your inhale rise the arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale, bring your hands right down through the midline in front of your heart. And let's reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now just come a little bit forward as you exhale. And let yourself come back up on your inhale. So starting to just rock a little bit with your breath, exhaling your way forward and inhaling your way back up. So it doesn't need to be a deep forward bend. You can actually go as far forward as feels good. Feel what part of your feet are in the floor as you come into moving here with your breath. So if it's the outside edges of your feet, just press gently down into them. Same thing if you're sitting in a chair, the bottoms of your feet on the floor. If your legs are long, it might be just your heels pressing down into the ground a little bit. So the next time that you come back up to sitting, let yourself stay up there. And then release your arms on out beside you again. And let's inhale into the length of the spine. And on the exhale, twist to your right. Bring yourself on around. Left hand can be to the midline. It can go all the way over to your right knee if you want. But just feel that easy, gentle twist in the middle of the back. Try not to force yourself around with your hands, in other words. And one more inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll come on back through center. We're going to keep on going into the other direction. So again, feeling that easy, gentle twist in the middle of the back. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come back to center. Cross your left arm over your right and give yourself a hug here. Let your elbows melt down and bring your chin down towards your chest and release here. The back of the neck. And then rise on up. Now you can slide to half eagle wrap or you can come into that full wrap. You can slide the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow. Or you may decide you want to send the backs of the hands towards each other or come into that final wrap. Don't force it. If it feels better to stay hugging so that it feels really like a release up into the shoulders and between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we're going to release, let our arms come on down, and let's switch to bring the other arm, right arm on top. And again, give yourself a nice hug there, wherever you like to hold. Go ahead and release your chin down towards your chest. Really feel that sense of ease here, maybe all the way up into between the shoulder blades there. And then once you start to bring your gaze back forward, you decide, stay hugging if you'd rather, slide to that half wrap, the back of the left hand to the outside of your right elbow, or you can come into backs of the hands towards each other or your full wrap. Imagine releasing your shoulders down, away from your ears. One more breath. And then we'll unwind our arms on back down beside us here. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Now, if you're cross-legged, we're going to switch the cross. So if you're in a chair, just stretch your legs out a little bit if you need to before you put your feet back down to the floor. And we're going to do the same thing here, where we start to move forward and back with the breath, just to, again, feel the length of your spine and really just letting the breath move the body here. So be mindful, take your time. Doesn't matter how far you go. Next time you come up, let yourself stay up. And let's let our arms again release out beside us. And now just tilt your head to the right ear towards your right shoulder. And then see if you can just let yourself roll down a little bit sideways through the spine. It doesn't have to be far, but feel like your head gets heavier and it just leads you to the side a little bit more. And then you're going to start to roll up sideways. So the head's the last thing that comes back up on top. And then tilt the other way, left ear towards your left shoulder, and then kind of feel like the weight of the head just draws you a little more. So you get a little bit into that side body. And then we'll roll back up again, letting our head be the last thing to be up there on top. And then let your hands come behind you. And you can lean back onto flat hands, or you can stay up on your fingertips. That depends on you. Or if you're in your chair, you can just draw your arms over the back of your chair. And just open up here through the front body. Feel the breath coming in. If you can, to the belly, then the ribs, and then up into your chest. Good. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back upright. And let's stretch our legs out in front of us and separate our feet just a little bit. And just kind of move around through your feet, your ankles, kind of turn your legs in and out a little bit while you circle. Just play a little bit. Let it feel really good. And then go ahead and start to come a little bit forward. Slide your hands down, maybe to your shins. Maybe you feel like you can go farther to feel your hamstrings get a little bit of a stretch here. So it's like you're coming forward from your low back. So you try not to round forward here into the upper back and curl your tailbone under you. Instead, your tailbone actually reaches back a little bit behind you, right? And that gives you that sense of coming forward from the low back. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll come on back up. Let your legs come on together. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So if you would rather not be on your knees, grab yourself a blanket if you need. Be up on a chair with your hands if you want. Remember, if your wrists bother you, sometimes just being up higher, putting blocks under your hands, or even coming down to your forearms to do your cat-cow if you're feeling like a lot of tension in your wrists. Or making fists with your hands, if that helps. So take your time. Start to just play a little bit. Like when you come into your first cat and cow, see if you can stay for a second and let yourself just feel the body adjusting into the pose. And when you move through between your cats and your cows, see if you can just enjoy that movement, but then take a second to enjoy the pose itself as well. And then, of course, you can start to move continuously. If it feels good to you, just letting yourself flow through the back. Waking up the spine, feel the belly there. So when you drop into that cat pose, you feel the navel drawing towards the spine. Good. And then finish off the one that you're on or that you're moving into. We're going to come to more neutral spine. And we're going to send our right foot behind us on the floor. Curl your toes under and have your foot on the floor here for a second. Press into the heel and feel the calf. Really feel that right calf there. Now, if you can, see about floating that foot up off the floor, the leg up higher, more like parallel to the floor. And if any of you want to reach your left arm forward, you can come into a little balance there. It actually really uses the core body. And then put the hand back down if it was up, bring your knee back down, and put your left foot back behind you on the floor. So keep it on the floor at first. Press into the heel. Feel your calf. Let yourself open up the back of your leg there. And then again, floating it up, totally up to you, so that the toes face down. If you want to release the opposite arm forward, you can, which is a balance. And then we'll bring the knee down, the hand down, and from here we're going to step our left foot forward and come into a lunge. So if you need your blocks to do that, let your blocks be any height, or you can use a chair underneath your hand. You know that? Find that first lunge there and really enjoy now. Start to feel that length as you reach into the inner right heel there. See if you can float your left heel, that front heel, just a little bit up off the floor. And then lower that heel on back down, and we're going to switch legs. So bringing the right foot forward and coming into that alignment there where you're very well aligned with that front knee. Again, reach into the inner left heel. See if you can float the right heel a little bit up off the floor. Really feeling your quad there. Let the heel come back down. And we're going to switch again. So take your time. Let yourself feel your whole body in the lunge. If you feel like bringing up your left hand or forearm to your thigh, go right ahead and do it. If not, keep both hands grounded. And we're going to switch again. So again, if you feel good to bring up your hand or your forearm, you can. Just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy again your whole body here in the pose. Find that length through the spine. Nice. We're going to step forward. Come into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Take your time. Walk a little bit in your forward bend. Bend one knee at a time. You can even, when you walk, you can leave your heels on the ground to bend the knee, or you can lift the heel up with that bent leg side if you want to. So you move a little bit more through your feet that way. But when you keep your heels down, you're still coming into different places. So you can try a little bit of both. And then finish off so that you feel very equal between your feet. Let your knees soften a little bit. And come on into feeling the weight of your head. If you need support, use it. Remember, hands on the blocks or elbows above your knees. If you feel fine to let your hands release on down, go right ahead. And then just breathe. Really let yourself accept those full deep breaths in and out through your nose. Let your face relax. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, and we're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So spread your fingers. Go ahead and look down at your hands for a second. Adjust your feet if you need to, so you feel they're just the right distance apart and your feet are parallel. You can bend your knees a little if you need. And then start to feel the feet of the floor equally. Start to rise your gaze on forward and out. And feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels so your pelvis gets aligned there. And then just easily allow the body to stack itself up. Your hips come over your ankles, shoulders over your hips. Finding that place for your head where you feel like it can float up there. Really, it feels nearly weightless. Because if you jut your chin forward, feel what that does to the back, to the spine. Or if you pull the chin back, really tuck your chin. And then find that place where you have all that space in your throat. It's very easy to be there. Enjoying your mountain pose. We'll unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. And we'll step the right foot back to come into lunge. So press your feet a little away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Really enjoy, again, finding that length in your lunge. And we'll come into down dog. So you know where your hands are for your down dog. We're up to you. On the blocks, on the floor, on a chair. Elbows hug inward a little bit. If you need to walk too, remember you can kind of adjust how far your feet are from your hands in your down dog. Right? Your heels might be hovering off the mat or they might be on the floor if your hands are up higher. And then we'll come on out towards a plank. So take your time, making your way into plank. Come to your forearms if you need to. Feel your sitting bones reaching for your heels. And imagine really engaging the low belly. And then we'll come on back into down dog. And this time we will bring the right foot forward to come to lunge. And fine to get there however you need. One knee down, both knees down, and then stepping through. And then we'll come on back to standing forward bend. Again, right to your breaths. And feel free to do what you need for support. But let your face go, let your jaw relax. Feel those breaths coming in to expand your ribs. And then we'll release, hands back up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline. Now once they get up there, bend your elbows. Keep your hands together and just let them come somewhere to the top or the back of the top of your head, really. Elbows hug in just a little bit and then rise your elbows up slightly so that you feel this lift. As you do that, make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. Keep the tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. One more inhale. And on the exhale, rise on back up to standing here now. And let's release our arms out beside us and down. As we get here, we're going to clasp them behind us. And inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward from the hips. Now stay parallel to the floor about. So you have a very flat back. Bend your knees. Reach back through your tailbone, through your sitting bones. Good. If you want to continue on forward, do. If it's better for you to stay with that flatter back, don't come forward anymore. And you can bring your arms off your back if your shoulders allow you to do that. Nice, easy breaths. And then we'll release our arms on down, and on our next inhale, find a nice, long, flat back. And this time, left foot steps back to come into our lunge. Press the feet away from each other. Engage your belly. And think of drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And we'll come on into downward facing dog pose from here. Good. Let your next inhale bring you towards your plank. Again, how far you go with this, whether you want to go down to your knees or do a half plank or do a forearm plank on your forearms, that's up to you. If you want to do little push-ups, you can bend your elbows. Let yourself feel like your elbows are coming in more towards your ribs if you can. And then we're going to meet back in down dog, so making your way back into your downward facing dog pose. Good. When you bend both your knees in your dog, really reach back through your sitting bones equally. And then from here, we will bring the left foot forward to come into lunge. So however you need to get there. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. Right to your breaths. See if you can. Feel your inhales and exhales coming closer to the same length. If you can count when you breathe in, reaching that same count when you breathe out, or maybe even a little farther on your exhales if you can. One more nice full deep breath. And as we bring our hands now up to our hips, we'll bend our knees and rise on up. Inhaling our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, letting our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms, and we're going to tilt our head to the right. So let your right ear tilt towards your right shoulder like we did before, sitting. And then do that same thing. Let yourself roll a little bit sideways down, but let your left hand start to trail up by your ribs, in front of your shoulder, by your ear even. You might even touch your ear a little bit, and then stretch into a long arm here. Coming into side stretch and breathing into the left ribs here. And now really feel your feet in the floor as you start to wind back up here, coming back up to standing, and lower that arm down. And then we'll tilt our head to the left. So left ear towards the left shoulder. And then again, as you roll a little bit, start to let the right hand join to come up by the ribs and the shoulder, by your ear, and then really stretch it out long. Let the palm face down so you feel that real depth in your side stretch there. One more breath. Press into your feet as you rise on back up now and lowering that arm on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. If you want to look up at your hands, you can. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees and fold forward into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back wherever you want your hands to go. And we're going to come into down dog here. So you can put your hands on whatever surface you like to use, whatever height. Step back into your down dog. Feel your elbows hugging in. Walk in your dog a little bit. Bend a knee at a time. Good. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out towards a plank. Now you can add a back bend or not here. You can stay in plank. You can do push-up again if you'd rather. You can move into a back bend, either going to the floor and up into a cobra or a sphinx, or you can come into an up dog. And then we'll make our way back again into down dog. Remember, back bends are optional. So next inhale, coming back out to that plank, and it is optional to do a back bend. You can come through or not. You can come down to the floor and do a little sphinx or cobra. You can come through to up dog, and then we'll make our way back into down dog again. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll step back into our standing forward bend. Right to your breaths. If you're okay to hold your elbows, go ahead and do that. Let your hands just release softly to your elbows. If not, use support. And go back to those breaths, seeing if you can let your inhales and exhales be fairly even. And then we'll bring our hands back up to our hips and bend our knees, rising on up to standing. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And let our exhales bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, if you need to adjust a little bit to get there, do it, right? So that you feel really good about how far apart your feet are, as parallel as you can be. And just let your gaze come forward, whether your eyes are open or closed. Feel the connection of your hands there. Good. And then we'll release our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. Move around if you need to. And we're going to come into some warriors. So if you're using a chair, you might want the back of the chair turned to face you. And make sure you have your blocks handy at the front of your mat. You don't have a chair there especially. And we'll step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So lining up our heels and really getting that alignment of that front knee so you can look down and make sure you're not putting your knee out over your toes, but you really have your knee about over your ankle there. And then start to reach your arms out long. Flex your hands for a second. Lower them down a little bit. And then go ahead and come into palms face down. Rise the hands up a tiny bit so it feels really good. It's easy to drop your shoulders down. Reach out through your fingertips equally. If your neck allows you to turn to look over the top of your left hand, do. And just enjoy here. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Pressing the feet gently away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. And let's put our right hand down on our right hip. We're going to straighten our left knee out. And we're going to bring our left hand down for triangle. Now, you might want to stay up high. You might want to keep your hand right on your thigh or slide down a little bit to right below or above your knee. Or you might want to use a block underneath your hand or two blocks. You know, you can stack blocks up to where you're up higher if you have the blocks in front of or behind that left leg. And then thighs are going to engage up towards the hips. But imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet so they're pressing away from each other as you engage upward with your thighs. And now adding this right arm straight up from your shoulder is totally optional. If your shoulder does not want to do that, don't do it. Just feel the legs working here. Feel that sense of lengthening out through the top of your head. Nice. We're going to bend the left knee. Come on back into warrior two. Pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then we'll let our arms come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And you know, for a wide-legged forward bend, you can grab your blocks. If you'd rather have your blocks underneath your hands there. Or you can have your hands on the floor. Once you get there, bend a knee at a time, but kind of go a little slowly if you can, just to let yourself enjoy coming into releasing those inner thighs. Good, and then come on back into center. Bend both your knees and see if you can let your elbows rest above your knees. So you're supporting yourself really. You have a nice long back. And you're lengthened out through the spine. Coming into that squat that feels really good. Nice, and then release on back to where you want to be. If you need to support yourself to keep your back long in this pose, to stay with your breath, then you can use blocks under your forearms or under your head or your hands. You can also go back to your elbows above your knees if that feels better. But just enjoy now. See if you can, whether your knees are a little bent or straighter, press the feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer, and imagine your inner thighs kind of melting their way back behind you. So you're engaged, your legs up into your hips. And now the trick is to try to let go of the upper body. Whether you're supported or just hanging, see if you can release through the upper body. Let your face soften. Relax all around your eyes. One more breath. Now, to rise up, you know, it's up to you. If you need to adjust your stance before you come up, go right ahead and do that. And then bring your feet on together. Move around a little bit. If you need to move through your feet and your ankles, do. We are going to come to the other side. So this time it'll be the left foot that steps back. And we'll get our heels lined up again and that alignment of that front knee again. Right out over the center of the foot, not farther forward than your toes there though. And then start to rise your hands up just a little bit. Flex your hands. You can look at the back of your right hand there. Really press down a little bit into the heel of that left hand as well. And now when you take that wrist crease out and come flat here with your hands, rise them up enough where you look just out over the top of that right hand easily. So you have length in the back of your neck and throat. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. And reach equally out through both sets of fingertips. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our left hand down. We're going to straighten our right knee out and bring our right hand down for triangle. So again, you can stay up really high in triangle. You can go lower and lower. You can put a block or two underneath your hands or a chair under your right hand there. But see if you can focus on the legs here working. Imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet, but feel your thighs lifting up towards the hips. And feel the spine extending out over that right leg. It's up to you whether you want to add the left arm straight up from the shoulder or not. Really just enjoy finding the engagement in your legs and the length of your spine. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And we're going to bring our hands on down. We're going to turn our feet again more parallel and come on forward into that wide-legged forward bend. Again, grab your blocks if you like them. Once you get there, go ahead and again, bend a knee at a time. Take your time. Let yourself kind of ease your way. Obviously, if that bothers your knees, don't do it. And then come on back into being even, whether both the knees are bent or both are straight. And let's walk our hands to the right. Now try to keep your legs still even. Whether you shift the block a little to the right or walk over towards your foot. And then bring your right hand on up to your right hip. And if you want to roll the right shoulder up a little bit, you can. You can kind of turn to look either behind yourself or maybe even up a little bit with your head. And then come on back down with the right hand. We're going to walk back through center. And again, you might just want to shift your block a little to the right. Stay out more in front of your foot. You might want to walk closer towards that foot. And then bring in the left hand on up to the left hip. And again, if you like to roll the shoulder up a little bit, you can. And then we'll bring the left hand down. We're going to walk back into center and adjust your stance here so that you're going to be able to be comfortable. Now, if you like to bring your hands back more towards between your feet, you can go ahead and fold over. If that bothers your back, use support. Remember, elbows above knees or letting yourself be on your blocks with your forearms or your hands. And then just really feel now the movement of the rib cage as you inhale and exhale. So feeling the ribs expand in all directions on those inhales, and then feeling the ribs just coming back in as you exhale. Slowly start to make our way up. So again, you know how you come up from one of these is up to you. Feet closer together first if you need. If you're dizzy at all, you might want to stay wide a little bit. And then walk your feet on together. Move around a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. And we're going to come into warrior one this time. So if you have your chair there, you might leave it the same way. And have your blocks forward. And we're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into that front-facing warrior, which means if you put your arms in front of you and you turn your palms to face each other and you're reaching directly forward, that'll show you whether you're, opening back with the right shoulder or whether you're squared off. Straighten the left knee for a second. Go ahead and look down at that left foot. And then bend the left knee just enough where you can still see your toes. And then bring your gaze forward. And we're going to inhale the arms up into a wide V. So let the hands come farther apart. See if you can maybe even bring your gaze up. That depends on you. Feel that lift right here at the base of the shoulder blade. So you don't feel like you're letting yourself drop into your low back. The belly is lifted. Let yourself enjoy coming into your warrior one. Energy all the way up through the fingertips. One more breath. And then lower both arms down. We're going to straighten that front knee out. Now we're going to try to get our hips really square here. And come on forward just a little bit. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. So your back is long. Now the farther forward you go, if you need to put your hands down, do, but the farther forward you go, think about your tailbone starting to reach back. But the belly is working, right? You can put your hands down anytime you choose. They can be any height. They can be on the chair, they can be on the blocks. Really feeling the backs of the legs engaging here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and let your hands come down to the surface you like to use, whether it's blocks any height or your chair. And then let yourself from here feel that length through both sides of the body. And let's bring our left hand up to our left hip and just take a little bit of a twist here, like turn to look to the left. If you can put your palm down on your sacrum, do. And then bring your hand on back down so you're back to pyramid. And if you do want to fold forward, you can. You can let yourself fold over that front leg. Good. And then come back up enough to bend the front knee. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Bend both your knees quite a bit. Like think about putting your belly onto your thighs, right? And you can put your elbows above your knees to do that. You can put your hands down on your blocks. Let it feel really good. And then press into the feet. We're going to rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, we'll let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Take a breath or two here in mountain pose. Enjoy feeling that balance. Really allowing yourself to feel equal from your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. Good, and then we'll release our arms on down, shake out a little bit, and we're going to do the other leg. So this time it'll be the left leg that steps back. So warrior one, remember, your feet can be 2 feet apart, 3 feet, 4 feet, but you want to endeavor as you bring your arms forward and turn your palms to face each other to let yourself feel even here. So your shoulders are directly square. Now it doesn't matter if your hips are square right here. Don't force anything. Be comfortable in this back leg. And then on your inhale, keep rising those arms up and let them come wider. Bring your gaze up. Imagine you have a bar at the base of your shoulder blades. And you're just lifting up and over that bar. And if you imagine something really there, then your belly just automatically does what you want to do to get up and over whatever that might be at the base of your shoulder blades there. Energy up through your fingertips equally. One more breath. And then we'll bring our gaze forward, lower our arms on down, hands on the hips, straighten the front leg out. Trying to get your hips around square. If you need to adjust your stance a little bit, do. And then start to come forward. Now you might want to just go 2 inches and stay there, right? To feel the legs engaging and working. if you feel like you want to go lower. But again, if you need to put your hands down anytime, do it. So that you can feel like you're in control of working the legs here. Thighs lifting up towards the hips, coming into the backs of the legs. And if you haven't put your hands down already, find the height you want to be for your hands and put them down. Now, you know, if you want to adjust your stance once you get your hands down, do it. Feel that length through both sides of the body. We're going to bring our right hand up to our right hip, and we're going to turn to look to the right. If you can put your hand palm down on your sacrum, do. That twist is in the middle of the back. You're trying to stay level in your hips. And then go ahead and bring your right hand on back down. And again, if you like to fold forward over that front leg, go ahead. If it bothers you, don't do it. And then we'll come up enough so we can step forward with that left foot to get our feet right underneath it. So adjust yourself a little bit. Walk in your forward bend a little bit. Bend a knee at a time. And then let both your knees bend fairly deeply. Again, think of your belly coming to your thighs. Doesn't matter where you have support or if you just hang. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, press equally into our feet. We're going to rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms out and up. And on our exhale, as the hands come down, imagine reaching higher up into the top of your head. So it's almost like you feel like you're floating off the floor for a second. The thighs are lifting up. Your head feels very light. You can just enjoy the sensations moving through the body. Once you get all this energy flowing through all the poses we just did. And then we'll let our arms come on down and move around. Shake out whatever you need to shake out. And we are going to bring ourselves to a wall with our mats. So take your time, come into a wall, and let's bring our left hand towards the wall. And come into, come into tree pose. We'll be standing on our left foot and bringing the right foot in for tree. So whether you want to bring the heel to the inside of your left ankle down here and keep your right toes on the floor, or bring your foot in to your calf below your knee, or maybe you prefer to reach down, get your foot, and pull the foot up into the inner thigh. Feel the ease. Keep your hand on the wall for a second. Just for a second here, see if you can close your eyes, but keep your hand on the wall. Right? See if you can just imagine feeling the foot coming into the inside of your leg and the inside of your leg coming back into your foot. And then open your eyes and decide how you'd like to put your hands to try to balance a little bit. You know, maybe you automatically want to rise your hands up and let the hand come off the wall that way. Or maybe you feel like you want to bring your hands into your heart. And if it's a balanced day where you need support, put your hand back anytime you want. So that you can feel like it's easy, right? Instead of trying to lock your way into tree pose, you kind of grow there, and then if you lose it a little bit, you might need to put your foot down, readjust, go back up. Good. And then let yourself come on down, turn to face the wall, put your right hand on the wall, bend your left knee. Now, if you can reach back and get your left foot to do a quad stretch, do. If not, don't. So you can pull the heel in. If you've got your foot, you can pull your heel in towards your outer buttocks a little bit. Really get that quad stretched out. And then you can push the foot into your hand a bit. Maybe even coming forward with your chest a bit. Pressing that foot into the hand, just to feel the quad that way. Good. And then we'll come on back up, and we're going to turn to the other side for tree. Right hand on the wall. Getting that right foot about parallel to the wall. If you need to turn your toes a little towards the wall, a little turn out do. And then again, you decide, where do you want your foot? Below, above the knee? Do you want the heel into the inside of your ankle? Now at first, try the eyes closing thing with your hand on the wall though. And then feel the foot gently coming into the inside of your leg coming back into your foot. And then once you open your eyes and find a spot to look, bringing yourself into the balance where you want to be. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Let your foot come on down. Turn to face the wall. Left hand on the wall in front of you. Bend your right knee. And again, if you can reach back and get the foot. If you can't, no worries. Just flex the foot and feel the heel drawing in towards your buttocks. If you've got the foot, pull it in. Try to let your knee face down. And then start to push the foot into your hand. So feel what that does to the front of your right shoulder and your right shoulder as well. And you can send the knee back and the chest a little forward if you want. And then let yourself come on back, knee down, foot down, and release here. Move through your feet and your ankles just a little bit. And let's turn our back to the wall. And let our heels be out maybe 12 to 18 inches from the wall, really. And from there, just go ahead, bend your knees. Let your head come back into the wall. And your knees are a little bent. Now with the knees a little bent, see what happens if you send your hips forward, right? And then straighten your legs out, but keep the back of your head on the wall. Now your shoulders might be coming off the wall. If they are, that's fine as long as it doesn't hurt your back. Let your arms just hang. So you can keep your chin parallel to the floor and let yourself be in this little back bend. But if it's too much, shift your hips back and get closer to the wall before you start. Right? If you want more, you can step your feet farther away from the wall and have the knees bent, shift the hips and straighten out, and you'll have more of a back bend. You can even look up a little bit if you want. So be where you can. Let it feel really good. Your head's supported, so you don't have to worry about the weight of the head. Just let the chest open up a little bit here. And then we're going to shift our hips back. We're going to bend our knees deeper. We're going to come forward and see about bringing your elbows above your knees. And look at your feet. Make sure you're parallel. You know, that your feet are about hip distance apart. When your knees are bent, they're out over the center of your feet. And we'll do a little twist here now. Keep your right sitting bone in the wall as you bring your right arm across to either the outside of your left knee, or you can put your elbow right there and bring your hands into prayer if you want to put yourself with your right elbow to your left knee. You don't have to go that low. You can be up higher so that you're up here with your arm across instead of your elbow to your knee. And then come back to center. Bring your elbows above your knees. Stay there for a breath. Let your spine even out. And then we'll come the other way. So the left arm can come over and kind of drape over the outside of the right knee. You can, if you want, put your elbow to the knee and bring your hands into prayer. Really press into that left sitting bone on the wall so you're even in your knees and your hips. Good. And then we'll come back into center, elbows above the knees again. Now you can decide, you can stay here or you can fold forward. You know, if it feels really good to you to straighten your legs out and let yourself fold over your legs. If that's a relief, go for it. If you know that's too much for your back, you just stay with your knees bent and support yourself with your elbows above your knees. Good. One more breath here. And we're going to rise up. So to do that, bend your knees. You can use your hands to help you onto your thighs, coming back to the wall. And then go ahead and walk yourself on back in. And we're going to come down onto our mats on the floor on our bellies. So coming on down and letting yourself come onto your belly, rest your forehead on your hands and just be easy. Let it feel, as you bend your knees, let it feel really good to let your feet circle around back there a little bit. You can let your feet dance around however you want. You can go side to side with your lower legs. Just play a little bit. Let it feel good. Good. And then come on back to long legs. And let's come on to the tops of our feet and press into the tops of your feet. Let your knees lift up off the ground, right? So you're pressing into the top of the toes. Your legs are straight. Your knees are up off the ground. And then go ahead and relax all that. Let your legs go. And we'll come onto our forearms with our elbows underneath our shoulders and our palms turned down into Sphinx pose towards the floor. So you know if this is too high for you, come down, slide your elbows more towards your waist, or even up higher, up above, right? But somewhere where you're okay to be. And take your time. Let yourself feel the belly gently engaging. Good. And then bring your hands together. Clasp your hands. Send your pinky fingers out. Bend your knees and lift up into a little half forearm plank. But if you can, imagine you're drawing yourself towards the front of your mat. So it's like you're coming forward and you're really on that flesh above your knees. You're not directly up on your kneecaps. And you can feel that engagement of the belly and the low back and the hips. Good. One more breath there. And then we're going to come down. Bring your left forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat and put your head down on your forearm and bend your right knee and flex your foot. Now, if you want to lift your head up a little bit, you can stay right here. That might be enough. Some of you might want to reach back and get hold of your foot like we did when we were standing up, really. And you might even want to push your foot a little more into your hand, right? So if you feel like you want to come a little more into the shoulder and into the back bend, you can use this left arm down more towards your waist and go up higher even if you want to. Or stay low, even with your head all the way down. And then we're going to come down. We're going to switch legs. So bring your right forearm there for your head to go on, and then bend your left knee. Flex your foot. Lift your head up a tiny bit if you can. If you're like, okay, that's enough, I'm done. Come down, rest. Just keep the quad if you can, working a little bit. You can reach back for your foot if you choose. Good. And now we're going to release all the way down. Bring your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, come on up into a little locust pose, reaching your fingertips and your toes back towards the wall behind you. But think about ease in your neck right now. So if you find your chin going forward, try to let that go. Look straight down so you don't feel any tension in your neck, your throat. One more breath. Feel like you're just floating up there. You can stay forever. And then we'll release back down. We're going to come back towards pose of a child. So shifting your hips back and stay up forward on your forearms if you need to, of course, or shift your hips back towards your heels. And you can decide whether you want to leave your arms overhead or use your arms or hands as a pillow for your head, or maybe you feel better to bring your arms back alongside your legs. Be where you feel the most comfortable so you can really focus into breathing into your low back. Letting the low back expand with the breath. Good. One more nice full breath. And then let your hands help you up. Bring your hands back by your knees. Come on up. And we're going to bring our legs on around in front of us. So take your time. Bring your legs on out. Stretch them out a little bit. And then let yourself, practice just a little boat pose. Let yourself walk your feet in, right? And then for a second, kind of round your back, like you come into like you're doing a cat pose, right? And then roll your way on back up to a long spine and start to lean back just a little bit. You can hold right here to your thighs and not let go. Right here, you're already engaging your belly a little bit more, right? So if you want to walk your feet back more so that you're really right there to balance to lift your feet up off the floor, you can. You don't have to, right? So sometimes I like to clasp my hands because that makes it easier to kind of hold my legs up there, and I'm trying to not tense the front of my hips. I'm trying to really hold my legs with my hands. And man, they're heavy, so it's quite some work, right? And you can kind of play. You can straighten one leg out a little bit. You can switch and go the other one, kind of like you're walking in space right here, right? You can go to both legs longer if you choose to. Keep them there for a second. And you're more than welcome to put your feet on the floor, rest, or let go if you want with your hands. Let go of your legs. Play a little bit with that or not. Good. And then from here, feet come to the floor. We're going to open the knees out to the side. Now for Baddha Konasana, if you need to sit on a blanket, do. If you need to put support underneath your knees. And remember how close your feet are to you. Actually do this. Bring yourself kind of with your feet way far out from you, like more than you ever do, really. They're hardly still together, really. They might even be a little apart, right? And then take your hands and see if you can lift yourself up and shift closer to your feet. And then once you sit up tall here, you can go, well, that might be just perfect right there. If you're like, I want to try to get closer to my feet, then you can lift yourself up and come in to where when you let go and you bring your hands like to your shins or your ankles, you can sit up tall easily. So if you go too far and you come and you go, oh my gosh, that does not feel good, shift back. In other words, you got to find just today, right? Every day is a different feeling. So find today where it feels good for you to sit in your Baddha Konasana, being able to lengthen up pretty comfortably. And then just imagine that your knees are slightly reaching outward away from the midline. So you get this sense of elongating your inner thighs, really. So it's just thinking about doing that, really, that'll change a little bit about how you're using your legs, your hips, and let yourself enjoy lengthening up. Now, some of you coming forward is like a piece of cake. It feels like a relief, right? If coming forward feels like extra stress in your hips or your knees, don't do it. You can come forward with a long back. You can put your hands to the floor. You know, some of you might even want to go ahead and bow your head because that feels like a relief for your neck, but don't push it. Just be with your breath now. See if you can follow your inhales all the way in and your exhales all the way out. Slowly start start to make our way back up. Go ahead and use your hands on the outside of your knees and then just lift your knees on up and stretch your legs on out. Move through your ankles and your feet a little bit. And we are going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So take your time as you come down. Let yourself just bring your knees into your chest. Let the knees either circle. I mean, you can let your hands be on your knees and let them circle in one direction and then the other so that they're going the same direction the knees are. Or sometimes it feels better to let the knees separate and circle in opposite directions, which is a totally different feeling. It kind of outlines the sacrum when you do that opposite directions and releases the hips too. It's kind of fun. Do different kind of knee circles. And then finish off with the knees on back in towards your chest. Some of you might even want to draw your head up towards your knees and come into a little ball. But don't do that if it bothers your neck or your back. And then we'll come on back down. Let your feet come down too. And let's cross our right thigh over our left. So right thigh over left thigh. And then if you can, draw your knees in towards you. Now, how you hold here is up to you. You can not hold at all. Just flex your feet. Let your feet hang out there and let your thighs come in towards your chest. Or you can hold behind your thighs, one thigh or the other, or the knees, right? So where it's comfortable, let yourself just keep the feet flexing though, so you feel that release in your hips. That right hip gets a really nice stretch. You can slide your hands to hold your shins so the feet separate more if that feels good. I mean, you can even go all the way down to your feet with your hands if you want. But just be mindful. Let your hips open where you can be. Good, and now put the left foot back down on the floor. Stretch your arms out beside you. And lift your hips up. Shift them to the right a couple or 3 inches and put them down. And then let your knees go to the left. Now, your right foot will hit the floor really fast if you want it to. It can hold your knees up. If you want to go deeper into the twist, you can release the knees down more towards the ground. So that is up to you. You don't have to go any deeper than you want. You can barely move the knees if you want to one side. But let yourself really release the shoulders towards the floor. And breathe. Let your breath come easily in and out. Good. One more breath. And now as you start to come up with the knees, go ahead and uncross pretty soon because you'll want to straighten your spine out. You'll automatically feel really crooked. So kind of lift yourself up, get straightened out there with your feet on the floor. And then bring your left thigh on top of your right. And flex through that left foot. And again, now draw the knees in. Whether you hold on anywhere or not is up to you. You can just flex both your feet. You can put your hands on your knees or your shins, or if you like to reach towards your feet. You can hold behind your thighs. Just let it feel good. Feel that release in that left hip now. Bring your breath to where you need it. And we're going to slowly now bring the right foot back down. Stretch your arms out beside you. Lift your hips, shift them to the left 2 or 3 inches, put them back down. And your knees are going to come to the right. So again, that top foot will hit the floor pretty soon. If you don't even want to go that far, don't. Just kind of ease your way into feeling as much as you can as you come over to the right with the knees. And really just, again, think of releasing your shoulders into the ground.
here. And again, when you start to head up, you might want to uncross pretty soon so that you can get both feet to the floor and then straighten your spine out. Come into a couple of little pelvic tilts once you get centered out if you can. And then just do whatever feels good to you, right? At this point, you might want to bring your knees in. You might want to stretch your legs up in the air. You might want to do any number of things, actually. If bringing the soles of the feet together sounds good, or doing a little happy baby pose sounds like a good idea for your body, you want to find the best release you can so that it feels like you can allow your body to have time to get ready for Shavasana, so that you don't feel like, it's kind of like you got to get your wiggles out, right? If you need to do a bridge pose, do a bridge pose. You need to come into any other pose at all. I'm going to start to get lights here, but then I will move around so that I can bring bolsters for anybody who needs them here at the studio. If at home you need some support under your knees, you can always use a rolled up blanket. Sometimes a firm pillow is good. Depends on what you've got at home, right? Sometimes that little bit of support underneath your knees when you're lying on the floor enables your back to release. Yes. And let me know if you need like a blanket, either for under your head or to cover up with. And the same thing at home. If you feel like you're just need a little fold of a blanket underneath the back of your head, sometimes that can really allow you to release your neck a little bit better. Let your throat soften. And then just enjoy receiving your breaths, both your inhales and your exhales. Just being with that wave of your breath. And if the breath needs to change, to deepen, let yourself just have these few minutes to let the mind and the body find these little quieter places. And give yourself time to benefit from all that you just did. Allowing yourself to completely and fully relax.
toes, your hands, your feet lead you into moving. When you're ready, you can stretch, of course. You can bring your knees in. Just take your time. You know you're welcome to stay on your back. You're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to be on your side for a few breaths, it can sometimes give your back a little time to adjust and just enjoy the ground a little bit longer. Just be easy when you do feel like you're all right to rise to sitting. See if you can stay as relaxed as you can so that you feel very easy about coming up to sit however's comfortable. So you can feel the sitting bones reaching down and start to lengthen upward through the top of your head. And let your hands release to a comfortable place for your shoulders, so that you can feel nice and open across your chest. And then just enjoy feeling that length of your spine. Feeling the breath again coming into the belly. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.